Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we are going to finish off the enemy by giving him the ability to see the player. For now, we're not going to worry about can he see through the wall. It's just going to be does he come within range of the player.
Cool.
And to do that, we will take ourselves an enemy. We'll actually take the enemy from here, the prefab, and we'll get rid of the capsule collider, and we'll add on a sphere collider. Sphere collider. And I'm going to switch to scene view so that we can see how big our thing is. If we go to enemy, we can now apply the new changes that we have and come in here and find that sphere. Now we'll just make that bigger, say 10. And where did it go? Where did my sphere go? There it is. We go out and we can now see that it has this range. So it'll be if the player hits if the player's capsule collider comes into contact with the enemy's sphere collider, then we are within view.
Okay.
Alrighty. Cool. So now we have that. Let's jump over to our enemy, and we need to put in two new methods. So collapse everything, Control M, Control O, which will shrink all of the methods down.
That's another new keyboard shortcut I didn't know.
It's not working for me.
Yeah, what is it doing?
I don't know. Maybe
I think Control O, it thinks it's to open.
It's to open. Alright, that's embarrassing, getting my keyboard shortcuts wrong. Let's just move on with life and scroll to the bottom. And we'll put in here void on trigger enter. Nick, there is magic methods involved in Unity.
Sweet,
and
cool.
It goes, I just have access to these, and you go, cool.
Okay.
So it's saying if I am the enemy sphere and I come into contact with a collider, then we can talk to that collider. And so in this one, we'll say debug.log string.format, and inside of this we'll put our stuff. So 0 collided with 1.
Okay.
And the thing will be what has actually collided. So this dot name, and what have we collided with? We can say other, which is a collider, and a collider is attached to a game object, and now we can ask that game object what its name is.
Cool.
Great, and now we'll quickly do a check here to say if the other game object's name to lower is equal to player, then we have therefore collided with the player.
Yep.
So we'll put in here, we wanted to keep track of if the player is in view or not. So we'll say player in view is equal to true. And if we're going to have a player in view boolean to say yes, I can see the player or not, then we'd better put that into another variable at the top.
Globals. Yep.
So public bool player in view. Now that's all defaulted. Going to default itself to false. However, here we can say I can now see it, and now we can copy this method and put it to onTriggerExit.
Sweet.
To say no longer colliding with. So we are no longer colliding with whatever it is that we're colliding with. If it's the player, then we should go ahead and set that to false. Rightio. To make sure that collisions happen between objects. In this case, we're not using collisions, we're using triggers. And to make sure that it is a trigger, we need to have a rigid body on one of the things that is going to be hitting it. What's happening here? Stop being silly.
Why did it just create a cube?
Sorry?
Just created a cube.
It did.
Oh, wait.
No, that was the wall.
Never mind. Yeah, okay.
But good point. We should be naming our methods, our objects. Wall. We should be naming everything. The wall does not need a collider on it for the sake of this. Actually, it does. Yes, it does. Sorry. Yes, it does. We are going to go to our player and add on a rigid body.
Oh, I was talking about the sphere.
Oh, you're
in
talking
the center
about
the
gizmo.
Capsule, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to put a rigid body on here. We are not going to apply gravity to it, and we are going to say that you are kinematic. And now we can say the player's capsule is a trigger, and the enemy is also a trigger. So we can say, yes, you are a rigid body, you should have physics applied to you. However, I'm telling you, don't apply physics and just use you as a collider to say that you've interacted with something. So now if we go and play this, if I have everything correctly, we should be able to go to the console, and when the player comes into contact with it, we can see enemies collided, and when we're no longer colliding with the player. So just get outside of range, and we'll go back in, and you go, hey, it's not firing off anymore, but really it is down here. It's saying 4 and 4. So we're going to uncollapse that, and now when we go through, we can see we've got a new collision and a new not collision. So nice and simple. We can now see if the enemy can see the player. We will deal later on with if the player, the enemy can't see through walls. We'll come back to that one and deal with that one later in another video in future. So I think that is nice and simple for this one. Let's finish this one off, and then we can move on to getting multiple levels inside of our game.
Sweet.